Greetings, Jennifer Walters and Bruce Banners. This is Matt Harpatrick. You know, for a being that's called the Watcher, he's not the only person that's been observing anything Marvel-related. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is the most influential film franchise of all time. After the popularity of their superhero films and crossing over with their characters and plot elements, others like DC Comics and Legendary Pictures' MonsterVerse follow in their footsteps on having their movies take place in the same universe. For me, I am a casual Marvel fan, and I always catch up on the latest Marvel movie and show on Disney Plus, and mostly have a blast with them on either platform. And seeing how all these characters and storylines are based off the comics, surely there's gotta be some sort of anime project that's like an unofficial tie-in to this cinematic universe. And I ponder myself, does this show still hold up well? Well, it's not the first ever Marvel cartoon they ever made with Disney. The first season of What If serves as a portion of the fourth phase of the MCU, and during the duration with stuff like Loki, Doctor Strange 2, and Spider-Man No Way Home, many Marvel fans speculate that the next stage for Marvel movies is entering the multiverse, with different timelines, versions of our favorite heroes, or at times have other characters take on the same mantle as these heroes. The possibilities and variations are endless. But back onto the anime series, not only did it become a popular Marvel show such as Hawkeye, WandaVision, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it got renewed for another season for the upcoming Marvel 5th phase, and then a third season afterwards. In addition, one of their episodes is going to be adapted to its own series called Marvel Zombies, and there have been some talk that these variant characters from the show will eventually appear in live-action Marvel show and movies. Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. Let's dive right into this anime multiverse of madness. This is the first season of Marvel's What If. The show is an anthology series hosted by a being called the Watcher, voiced by Jeffrey Wright. He shows different timelines across the multiverse within the Marvel Cinematic Universe with some slight or unique differences, such as different hero roles or altered fates or outcomes. We will be going over all the 9 stories in a moment, but first let's talk about the animation as a whole. The art style they use in the series is called cel shading, designed to reflect the movies and capture the character likeness based on the actors while taking inspiration from classic American illustrators. This form of animation is similar to some of the popular video games like Sly Cooper and 13. The best way to describe the animation in this Marvel show, it does feel like a comic book leaping out of the page, but it's an exciting Marvel movie. When it comes to designs, most of the characters do translate well into CGI and capture the look of the respective performers playing them. For some of the non-human-like characters, it can happen where some like the Hulk and the Ice Giants can look uncanny, but everyone else is pretty good. This also applies to their movements, where the characters do have that cinematic feel, even if this was more television streaming. As for the background, it does depend on where and when the characters hang around the most. Some like a car crash scene, normal New York City, or a secret laboratory like in Tony's headquarters don't really offer a lot. But then there are some like dystopian New York City, the Lost Library of Cagliostro, and any other planets like Nowhere and Asgard can really look massive, including some of their storyboards at the end credits. But the one element in the series that fully screen work in a Marvel series are the action scenes, and they really are awesome to watch in all of the episodes. They fully present what both the Marvel heroes and villains can do while coming up with creative scenarios and how to defend themselves or counterattack. And there are some cool special effects whenever Doctor Strange uses his magic, Thor unleashes thunder powers, an explosion goes off, Ultron activates the Infinity Stones, and the Watcher warps through reality. Okay, so far, the animation looks pretty good on this anime Marvel show, but what about the episodes, since it is all about the multiverse? Well, let's find out. Now for these episodes, I will review them individually based on how creative they are in terms of storytelling, choreographed action scenes, and how well they reflect the characters that we all know to this day. So let's start with the first adventure from a different dimension. The first multiverse is Peggy Carter becoming the first super soldier instead of Steve Rogers. And just like the first Captain America movie, they had to stop Red Skull and his Hydra men to end World War II. What makes this episode a good start for the series is how it shows that one move from one moment can change everything, like Agent Carter moving in closer to Steve's booth on becoming the super soldier. But the best part about her becoming Captain Carter is her reaction when she starts fighting for the first time. She comes up with the best plans with some help from Howard Stark and easily has some good quips. I also like that they still use Steve to fight in the war by using a giant Iron Man suit called the Hydra Stomper. And the relationship between him and Captain Carter feels genuine. Cap sees Steve Rogers as Steve Rogers instead of the Hydra Stomper, while Steve believes his girlfriend can still help and fight Hydra no matter what the Colonel says. The only flaw I would have in this episode is that it does follow the same structure as the original Captain America movie, like the super soldier trying to be an inspirational hero, the Tesseract becoming a plot device, and the goal on stopping the Red Skull to end the war as soon as possible. But it was a good introduction of what kind of stories we were going to watch. Now that we know what sort of series that it's trying to tell, let's have another Marvel character play a different role. He looks good. The next episode is about T'Challa, who is known as Black Panther in the original timeline, becoming a Ravager in space as Star-Lord. He, Yondu, and the rest of the space pirates go on a quest to grab the Embers of Genesis from the Collector in order to save countless lives across the galaxy. So, unlike the last episode, it doesn't follow the same storyline as the first volume of Guardians of the Galaxy. One is that T'Challa, as Star-Lord, is actually a space celebrity. When he got abducted by Yondu and his crew, he dreamed of seeing the world beyond Wakanda and decided to steal from the rich galactic beings and gives to the poor. And he has already changed history. Drax's home and family are saved, Thanos becomes an ally and backs out on snapping the universe, and one of the guards who was protecting the Power Stone becomes a superfan and member of the Ravengers. This is something I would totally believe Black Panther would do if he would go on space adventures. Because in the original timeline, he is capable to lead, bring peace, and protect Wakanda and the whole world from danger, meaning he can still do that to save the galaxy. He also makes a cool heist plot in the veins of the Castle of Cagliostro. You never know if T'Challa can obtain the Embers of Genesis, or the Collector might have a few tricks up his sleeve thanks to his collection. There is a bit of that light reveal involving Yondu and T'Challa, but it's not as forced, and there are some tender moments between them as family. Even the ending was impactful, showing T'Challa's connection between his real family and the Ravengers, along with the two groups interacting with each other. Throw in a loving memory to Chadwick Boseman, and you've pretty much seen the coolest Marvel space adventure. But switching roles is not much of a big deal. What if the Avengers never fully happened? The third episode focuses on the Avengers being axed off one by one while Nick Fury and Black Widow tries to recruit them. This one is mostly pretty good, and it does have an interesting murder mystery. There are some clues here and there, and some bizarre scenarios on how the Avengers die. It leaves you guessing who is responsible for this all. Is it a familiar Marvel villain, a spy within S.H.I.E.L.D. like the one from Winter Soldier? And there are some great interactions between Nick and Loki, showing even though they're enemies, they share the same goal in finding the assassin. We get a glimpse that Nick almost called Captain Marvel through the pager regarding this, but like the Marvel movie, I did understand why he didn't make the emergency call when Loki or Ultron arrived, because he wanted to protect the Earth by himself. Like he wanted to prove to himself that he and his agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. can defend everyone from danger with some hell of Earth's mightiest heroes. Yeah, I know she appears later in the episode, but the ending and epilogue makes sense why now is the time to call her. But when it comes to the culprit behind it all, you're gonna have to catch up to the Marvel movies to understand any of this. Whether if the Avengers have risen or fallen, the episode still shows some hope that a superhero team can still be assembled. As hopeful it may sound, there are some episodes that contains a lot of tragedies. Number 4 is about Doctor Strange losing his girlfriend Christine from a car crash instead of his hands, and he goes through many lengths to get her back, even performing a forbidden time resurrection spell. The best way to describe this episode is like watching an episode of The Twilight Zone. Despite Strange having the Time Stone on him, he can't seem to prevent his girlfriend's death no matter which route or outcome he chooses. It's like the universe is trying to tell him it's meant to be this way. Though I still don't get why he went to the Ancient One for help on learning magic in this timeline, because in the original, he thought if he learned magic, he could somehow restore his hands as they originally were. So why does he think there's a magic spell to save someone to begin with? There's a scene where he wants to save a man from dying of old age, but the person rejected the offer because he accepted his fate. That's actually mature. I also love the fight scene between the two Doctor Strange. The one that accepted his girl's death, and the other that we primarily follow throughout the episode, who becomes Supreme Strange. The best part about this episode is that we do see moments where Strange sees and talks to the Watcher, but the latter doesn't exactly meddle in this universe. It reflects how this Doctor Strange has grown mad, insane, and mostly depressed, especially the ending regarding his mission. As well as the giveaway that his actions on saving Christine will have consequences. You can't help but feel sorry for what he's going through, or what he's doing. It may be the sad what-if episode, but it shows once and for all that one life, one choice, one moment can change everything, for better or worse. Before we continue, I had to ask, was the undead really a thing in the comics? Yeah, that's what I thought. And now we come to the zombie episode where the remaining Marvel characters have to survive the zombie apocalypse and find the cure to stop the takeover. Out of all the episodes that were made, this is the most twisted version. And to its credit, it does succeed as a zombie horror episode. The designs of the Marvel zombies are creatively disturbing and gets bizarre that they still use their respective powers to feed on the living. But then comes the tone of the episode where it tries to lighten up some humor even during the zombie takeover. Some of the jokes do work, like when Spider-Man explains the rules and tropes of surviving zombies like in the Scream movies, and there is a good line comparing zombie movies to reality television. But then other times, like from Ant-Man doing some dad jokes, it's just bad timing since he now looks like a Futurama character. When it does get serious, it presents some awesome action scenes to beat out these zombies, and a sweet moment on why Spider-Man remains optimistic even through the toughest times. There's some bizarre zombies, and I hope in this universe future that the survivors make it out alive, unleash the cure, and stop the apocalypse. We see them make a cool Dark Universe monster movie than the actual Dark Universe movie, so let's see where this goes. Okay, no more supernatural activities for now. Let's get back to some down-to-earth what-if episodes. Maybe a Marvel hero will cross paths with a different Marvel villain. The Watcher then introduced a reality where Tony Stark becomes partners with Killmonger, the main villain from Black Panther. The connection between Tony and Eric are interesting and show that they do have something in common, and that's with the relationship between their fathers. And there is a curious timeline that Tony doesn't become Iron Man after Killmonger saves him, and they both use their technology skills to protect everyone. But the ironic thing about this, it could have been an incredible episode. So why didn't this grab me? Well, it's to remind everyone that Killmonger is still a Marvel villain, even in this alternate universe. Yep, it was all an act for Eric to get close to Tony so he can kill T'Challa, play both sides of Wakanda and Stark Industries so he can become the new Black Panther. Killmonger is a memorable and great villain in his debut in movie, and he did play a convincing ally to both Tony, his company, and the people of Wakanda. It's just that nothing important has been altered other than for the villain to reach his goals sooner than later. Remember in the T'Challa Star-Lord episode where Thanos becomes a good guy in that timeline? Why couldn't Killmonger just be an ally and real partner to Tony? We wouldn't mind that, that would have been ingenious. He could have just made up for what his father did and Tony would care about him like a brother. But the problem with the villain's goal in this one, the pacing is off. It cuts back and forth between Killmonger completing his Black Panther mission while Shuri and Pepper Potts try to gather information to prove that he's an enemy on both sides. It resulted in making the episode feel like it should have been a two-parter instead of a full episode, and it clearly shows at the end. Again, a good concept between Tony and Eric, but in execution, needs a bit more work. Yeah, we gotta get back to livening things up a bit more. And I know just the guy to pull it off. Liven the series up, the 7th episode is about Thor throwing the biggest party on Earth. In this version, Thor is an only child because Odin returned Loki to the Ice Giant. But the bigger the party becomes, the more destructive it gets whenever he invites more aliens from the galaxy and wrecks everything for the sake of fun. This one is the funniest What If episode. The jokes are effectively humorous with the dialogue between the characters and the visual gags when Thor, his friends, and the other Marvel characters play with Earth's national monuments. It's really understandable on why Thor becomes a party god instead of learning on how to become a true god or hero. Since Loki is the exact opposite of him and holds some responsibility towards him but cares about him like his real brother, Thor wanted to be sure that he doesn't follow the same dark and dangerous path as his brother did in the first Thor movie or the Avengers. And without Loki causing chaotic mischief his way, Party Thor doesn't take his own responsibility seriously. Even after he meets Loki in this timeline, they don't become rivals or enemies. The ones that do help solve the party problem are Jane Foster and Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel did give him a chance of mercy to stop his party before things get worse, so by order of the Shield, she is left with no choice but to destroy him, which leads to an epic fight that's on par with a death battle video. As for Jane, she wants to stop the party too to save the Earth, but she also doesn't want Thor to die because she is in love with him. And I do think that the solution that they come up at the end is pretty smart, and it does make sense when you think about it. No matter which universe you prefer, Thor is still a likable character as he is in the MCU. It's a funny episode that knows how to pull a serious cliffhanger. And I wasn't kidding about that last line, because this is how the first season ends for this series. And now we come to the last 2 episodes of the first season. In this exciting conclusion, there's an alternate universe where Ultron succeeds in destroying humanity by stealing Vision's body before getting fully programmed. Then, he sliced Thanos in half and obtained the Infinity Stones, and used them to wipe out all life in the universe to continue his purpose of creating peace by destroying all living beings. However, he soon found out about the multiverse, which frightens the Watcher and becomes a threat to all reality. Since he cannot defeat Ultron all by himself, he has no choice but to intervene and summon all the heroes from the previous episode to take down the killer robot. When I first watched the second to last episode, I was not expecting what kind of story it was going to tell. The 8th episode centers around this post-apocalyptic universe where Black Widow and Hawkeye are the only survivors left and need to find a way to end Ultron once and for all. And given how many they lost and the villain is now a threat to the multiverse, it makes the audience root for the heroes in that reality and want the Watcher to actually do something for once. The episode also manages to flesh out the Watcher as a prominent character. Throughout the series, he does shroud himself in mysteries, and you do question his purpose of watching the multiverse and not interfere with anything or help at all. But once Ultron enters the multiverse, you now know why Watcher had to spend his time watching over all realities. It's to keep threats from crossing the multiverse and attack them. With the main villain Ultron, he is somehow the most menacing and scariest Marvel villain in the series. With his new body, his clone army, and the Infinity Stones, he's considered invincible and capable to kill every person and planet instantly. Nobody can stop him. Not the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Celestials like Ego, not even the absolute powerful ones like Thanos, the Watcher, or Captain Marvel. This of course leads to the epic climax where 6 Marvel characters from the past episodes have been chosen to become the Guardians of the Multiverse. Supreme Strange, Captain Carter, Star-Lord T'Challa, Gamora, Killmonger, and Party Thor. Now originally during production, Season 1 was going to have a total of 10 episodes, and one would be about Gamora defeating Thanos and destroying the Infinity Gauntlet. But because of the pandemic, only 9 episodes were completed on time, and that episode was delayed to next season. So even if I have yet to see the Gamora story, I can still follow through her timeline easily, and I am intrigued how she managed to survive the Infinity War in this reality. And there is a cool trait that she can build weapons to destroy the Infinity Stones. She, along with the other multiverse characters, are the best parts in the final episode thanks to their chemistry and interactions. From Captain Carter and Black Widow's friendship to Party Thor being the brainless member with some fun comedy, to Supreme Strange cooperating with the Watcher on how to save the universes. The finale also managed to connect all the other episodes together, not just the Guardians or bring back zombies, but they also pick up some parts where we left off, like T'Challa saving Peter from Ego, Pepper and Shuri finally ending Killmonger's tyranny, Nick Fury and his remaining Avengers defeating Loki, and Captain Carter going through the Winter Soldier storyline, wishing she could be reunited with Steve Rogers. The finale not only shows how to wrap up a season, but with nice interaction, fighting, and character growth, it presents how much these characters and their stories, at home or in another dimension, are pretty much everything to anyone. And there you have it. I finally looked over all the 9 episodes of What If. Is it a great addition to the MCU 4th phase or Marvel Entertainment in general? All I can say in this franchise dimension, yes, it is. Marvel's What If is not only a great animated Disney Plus original, but also one of the best animated Marvel shows with amazing creative episodes that expands the multiverse, great animation with some awesome action scenes, and Marvel characters, whether they are heroes or villains, are still developed and memorable as they were in the original MCU with some wonderful voice acting. This is an absolute must-watch for Marvel and comic book fans. Now, do you need to watch the past Marvel movies to understand any of this? Some of them, yeah, like with Doctor Strange, Nick Fury, the zombie episode, and the last 2 episodes. But others you don't have to, like Party Thor, Captain Carter, Star-Lord T'Challa, and Team Tony Monger. So there will be some that can welcome you and give you a clip note version of the original movies to follow easily. No matter what happens to the MCU in the movies, TV shows, or other phases, they once again proved that they are capable to push the limits to make a much grander franchise, always finding a way to take audiences to new worlds, dimensions, and meet new superheroes and villains, whether they are original or variant to another. Showing that Marvel has a humongous family as the final battle scene from Endgame. I give the first What If season an A-, and it gets this universe's Diploma of Destiny. I'm Matt Harry Patrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to see a wrestling match against Wong and Abomination. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.